Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generations discussion. And today, I want to talk to you guys about the future of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. And as you can tell from the thumbnail, we aren't going to be talking about the much anticipated Boruto time skip that so many people are impatiently waiting on, but we're going to be talking about the final time skip for Boruto. Now, obviously, none of us have Shinjutsu like Momoshiki. We can't see into the future, but one of my patrons hit me up last month with a fan theory that I thought make for a pretty interesting water cooler talk with you guys, especially after the last couple of manga chapters where we've seen Kawaki go off the rails, which is the topic of Kawaki's redemption at the end of the series. Now, obviously, we can conclude that based off of how Boruto's been written, this series is going to take the approach that most shonen do and play it safe when it comes to killing off a younger character, which means Kawaki will be forgiven and given a path to atonement. He's not going to be killed. We aren't going to be getting an edgy ending like, say, Attack on Titan, or like the one that Jujutsu Kaisen appears to be setting up. However, what exactly should Kawaki's atonement be? Well, my patron hit me up with what they believe is the correct and right path for Kawaki's atonement, and given he jumped all the way ahead to the end of the series, we're basically going to pull a how it should end video like those guys do who run that channel with the thumbnails of how it should end for the various movies that come out. We're going to do something similar here. So according to them, they believe that part of Kawaki's probation, if he is going to be redeemed, is going to be different than what we saw with Sasuke, who went on his personal journey to learn what it means to be a shinobi, which we know in the light novels revealed Sasuke reflecting on his crimes, dealing with this fear of Tobirama's words of how the Uchiha change when they lose loved ones, and Sasuke wanting to stamp out any negative emotions before returning to Konoha and wanting to be mentally strong enough to where he doesn't need someone like Naruto to pull him out the darkness if that happens again. And part of doing that was looking into the past of each Akatsuki member after he ran into survivors of one of their mercenary missions, where Itachi played a key role in the death of one of the siblings of the child that he ran into. In order to truly understand what causes someone to turn away from the ideals of their village, which ties back to Sasuke wanting to understand what a village truly was, Sasuke looked into the Akatsuki in order to gain that answer. Now, my patron believes that Kawaki's probation would be him setting up his own village, because the Hidden Leaf village would need more time to trust him, and by having his own village, he won't be able to bow down to anyone else, which, given Kawaki understands power versus powerlessness, I can see how they came to this conclusion. They believe Boruto will be the Shadow Hokage for Sarada, who is a Hokage, and they can work together with Kawaki and his nation. So part of the reason why I entertained this one is that when we look at Boruto's story, one of the themes, but not the only main theme that we have, is answering the question of where does science fit in this world of shinobi. We've seen the tech boom start under Kakashi and move forward even further under Naruto. Other nations have caught up to the Hidden Cloud village, which was technologically further ahead of all the other ninja villages during Naruto's manga, and we've seen the constant clashing of tech versus the way of the shinobi, which that's the significance of Konoha shinobi fighting the Kara Inners, with Sasuke basically telling Boruto in the Sasuke Shinen Teacher Star People novel, the ninja of the future will be those who find balance in ninja tech and science, and using science to enhance their own jutsu while not forsaking what it means to be a ninja. And Sasuke telling Naruto that despite the era or the circumstances, the heart of the shinobi will always remain the same. With Kawaki, he started out the series representing what each of the Kara Inner members represented, which is the over-reliance on ninja tech and the abandonment of ninjutsu can't overcome the hard work and the training of a shinobi who has acquired the power through trials and tribulations and through hard training themselves. The Kara Inner members were all humans who got modified by Amado's ninja tech, which made them into cyborgs, and it became a shortcut to power that they couldn't otherwise acquire on their own. Even clones like Delta and Kashi and Koji were stronger than their original genetic parents in Abiki and Jiraiya respectively, due to the modifications made to their bodies. Former shinobi and Kara like Victor and Boro, they didn't fully abandon the way the shinobi using ninja tech alongside their own ninjutsu, but they still over-relied on ninja tech nonetheless, which is what Naruto and Sasuke don't believe the future of the shinobi will be. There's supposed to be a balance there. Kawaki started out the series in that exact same way. We saw at times he default back to using his karma and ninja tech before using ninjutsu that Naruto had taught him. And when he was pushed into a corner, he would revert back to his old ways, as evident by the fact he tried to absorb Boruto's lightning release despite not having a karma at the time. However, that brings us to the significance of Kawaki potentially setting up a ninja village of his own. We see during the flash forward sequence he's at the center of the destruction by Boruto's own words. There isn't any coming back from blowing up the village and destroying the Hokage monument, at least not right away. It would take him going off and building something on his own to gain back the trust and respect of those villagers, because we know from Kakashi's time as Hokage and Naruto's own reflections of that time period in the Parent and Child A novel, winning the hearts of the villagers when it came to matters that directly affected them was not something easy. Case in point, how a ton of villagers protested the luxury apartments and the expanded central business district on top of the Hokage monument because they viewed it as being disrespectful to the former Hokage of the past and the traditions of the village itself. Forgiving Kawaki for something like that, it won't be the easiest thing to do. That being said, if he were to go off and establish his own village and bring value to Konoha in some other way, that will begin mending the fences a little bit. In fact, taking things a step further by following the trend of Boruto itself. The idea of him making a village that's rooted in ninja tech, it makes a lot of sense, especially if he's the leader, because at the end of the day, he is a cyborg. He is the embodiment of human beings and science working hand in hand together, because that's literally what his body is. Narratively, I see why they like this theory, but there are a couple of hiccups to this that do need to be brought up. First, the land in Naruto's world is, for the most part, already spoken for, unless there's a large chunk of land that Kar had control over, which isn't crazy given each Kar Inner was given their own sector of the ninja world they're responsible for. But we know, given that the Land of Fire was under Kashin Koji's jurisdiction, that might just be in response to the existing land itself. And we've seen that Kar's main hideout is in a new area that we haven't seen in the ninja world yet, though it would be safe to say it's in the Land of Fire. We don't know that 100% right now. It's not completely crazy to say that there is some land that's unspoken for that could be claimed, especially now that Boruto's manga has begun bringing in stuff from movies. So we got the Land of Snow officially in the timeline now. There's a chance that you could have, say, the Land of Sky that had all that technology. Maybe the Land of Sky is where Kawaki goes. However, the next thing that has to be factored in is resources, in particular funding. Missions in the Boruto era are down when compared to the Naruto era. Less money is earned from missions, and villages already have to rely on feudal lords in order to fund them. But in this new era, they rely on them now more than ever before. So there would be the issue of finding a daimyo who would even agree to fund Kawaki, which brings us to the next thing. Kawaki would have to offer something of value to a feudal lord in order to get that funding. Case in point, Hashirama was able to get funding from the feudal lord because it was the Uchiha and it was the Senju working together, and all the clans who were underneath the Uchiha clan that Madara conquered all came together to form that village, as well as other clans like the Sarutobi clan and Danzo's clan coming into Konoha as well. The only card that he have left to play is if Amato didn't turn out to be evil, like Amato is telling us that he's not, and he's indebted to Kawaki because Kawaki goes through with his promise to place his karma on Delta and place the soul of his daughter Abiki inside of Delta, since the clone doesn't have Abiki's soul, despite having her memories and her voice and etc. Amato's science is further ahead of anything Konoha has ever been able to do on their own. So that would be a huge leg up to the village if Amato was to be behind the push of science that powered their economy, and that would open up a trading path to Konoha. Push comes to shove, Kawaki could just pimp out Ada to enchant a feudal lord into giving them money, but I doubt it goes there. That goes against the whole redemption thing, and that's actually underhanded. It kind of works against that. In universe, we've seen Sarada wanting to talk Kawaki down and Boruto wanting to pull him off of the wrong path. A Hokage Sarada might be more willing to speak with Kawaki and work to reform his image, with Boruto as a shadow Hokage watching from afar to keep things from getting off on the wrong path. If we go with the belief that there are more humans that Amato turned into cyborgs who weren't killed off, that would tie further into this idea, and given the trajectory of the series, a village completely backed by science, it doesn't feel like it might be something that's too crazy to even discuss. Because even with it as advanced as Konoha is, if you pay close attention, you still have old Konoha at the bottom and you have new Konoha on top of the Hokage monument. There's still a little bit of a divide there, with holdovers from the old way of life still existing. At some point, a fully backed science ninja tech village is going to come into play. And it makes sense if Kawaki's at the helm because he is a cyborg at the end of the day, i.e. a human who's been mechanically enhanced by science. He's not an android, neither are any of the KRYPTONIans. But the final question I have is, while this does seem like something that could work narratively, I can't draw a full line into anything Buddhist or Shinto to make a connection here. With the endings of Kishimoto's prior works, Naruto and Samurai 8, the undertones, they were there. But with this, I don't see anything unless there's something that I'm missing when it comes to that. Boruto is a story about where does science fit into this world of the shinobi. So it's possible we just throw the Buddhist and Shinto element out of the story at the end of the day. But so far, we continue to see both of those aspects being woven into the story, from the Dharma Will I to how Kurama was able to die to Amato's last name holding a meaning in Buddhism. To use the car GPS analogy that I've used on a lot of the fan theories I've done, this one feels like we're in the right city, but now we have to plug in the address to get to our destination. But I do think this is a very interesting idea on how to redeem Kawaki in the series, because we do know that he's going to continue to go further under as things progress in the story. Which brings me to my next question. How do you guys feel about this suggestion, and what would you have Kawaki do in terms of redemption after he blows up the village? What would be deemed as enough in your opinion? That's gonna be it for this latest Boruto fan theory. I got a few more to get through from last month from Patreon, but until then, make sure to praise Lady 1010.